Hello, darling friend. With Halloween just around the corner, I thought it was the perfect time to share the ghostly adventures of Brother Reynard with you. It's my adaptation of a North Yorkshire folk tale that I heard many years ago. I filmed this story for Settle Stories' Yorkshire Festival a few years ago. I hope you really enjoy it too. Let's settle down and begin. Brother Reynard was a jolly, extrovert, effervescent sort of a chap. You wouldn't have naturally thought that he would make a good monk. He ate a little too well. He drank a little bit too much. And he loved to have a joke and a laugh. He was a little bit laid back. Some would say lazy. And he was a monk at St. Mary's Abbey. St. Mary's Abbey, which is in the centre of York, was one of the most important and powerful abbeys in the whole of the country during medieval times. And the abbot of St. Mary's Abbey, he was a very powerful man. Brother Reynard, he got along all right, but he did as little as he possibly could. He would help the poor, he would take care of the abbey, and he would sit in quiet contemplation and prayer. But he used to get a little bit bored, and he would sit in his room meditating and listen to all the noise and the excitement in the streets. Now, on one particular day, it was the feast of St. Peter. There was a massive festival going on in the streets, all the way down Bootham, right the way into Clifton. Brother Reynard could hardly bear it. All of the monks were in silence. They were in prayer. Brother Reynard decided to sneak out. He snuck all the way down the corridors, looking left and right to make sure that nobody was watching, and out through the front door. Now, he was just about to go into St. Mary's when he realised he had no money. He couldn't possibly go to a fair without any money. On the side by the door, there was an alms box, a poor box, which was filled with gold and silver coins for the poor. I'll be able to pay it back, he thought, and he picked up the box, opened it, and poured the money into his pocket before setting off to join Bootham. The throng! There were so many people. It was so noisy. There were dancers and jugglers, jesters, musicians. There were firefighters, wild animals, hammer throwing, archery. And that game, I used to play it as a child, horseshoes, where you had to throw the horseshoe and land it at a distance over a nail. He had so much fun. And you know what? He spent that gold and silver really quickly. He drank ale, the strongest ale he could find, mead, he had wine, and then he ate. Sweet and savoury pastries, pies and tarts, spit roast pork, pheasant, all sorts of different game. Ooh, yes, and his stomach got bigger and bigger as the day got on, and he got squiffier and squiffier, laughing and joking with everybody, almost falling over. He was so tipsy from the drink. He was just about to drag himself back to the abbey before anybody missed him, when some tinkers from down the road saw this jolly, extrovert, effervescent monk and decided that they would ply him with some more ale. He drank and he drank. He drank in competition. He ate in competition, and he was stumbling down the road where he saw a wrestling ring. Well, Brother Reynard had been a fair wrestler in his day. He was strong and Abel and everyone was saying, in, into the ring, into the ring. Why not? Thought Brother Reynard, and he tumbled into the ring and began to wrestle. He was thrown this way and that, and his opponent was strong, but so was he. Oh my goodness, they threw each other and tumbled. And he was having an absolute riot. He was really enjoying himself. He was having more fun than he'd had in years, when he was suddenly thrown off balance and out of the ring onto his back. And he was looking up at the sky. Everything was spinning around him, and he began to sing. He probably sang a religious song, but the only song that comes to me is a song that my granddad and I used to sing when I was a little girl. And I'm sure they didn't have this in medieval times, but it had the same flavour. Oh, happy days are here again, the skies above are clear again, so let us sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here again. There he was, on his back, looking up. Oh, the misfortune. How unlucky was Brother Reynard, because coming down the road on his new horse was the abbot. And the abbot saw everybody surrounding Brother Reynard, laughing and ridiculing as he lay on the floor. Happy days are here again. The abbot was furious. He got a couple of the monks to come and pull that ridiculous monk back into St. Mary's. What shame he had brought on the whole abbey. The abbot, he knew that this deserved the most severe of punishments. He got the monks to take Brother Reynard down into the cellar, and there was a small opening, a small cellar opening. And they pushed Brother Reynard into that tiny little space and began to brick it up to wall him in. One of the kinder monks got a jug of water and a little bread loaf and put it in with him before he was completely and utterly sealed up. Brother Reynard fell asleep. His snores could be heard right the way down to Clifton and beyond. And when he woke up in the morning, he had a splitting headache. And he went to sit up and banged his head. It was really a small, compact space. Where was he? It was tiny. Oh my goodness, had he gone to heaven? Had he gone to hell? His stomach hurt and his throat was rasping sore. He felt around and there was water. He gulped it down as fast as he possibly could. And then he panicked. He pushed and shoved, and as he did, a couple of the bricks on the left-hand side of him began to dislodge, and they fell, so he could feel a little bit more air rushing towards him and a little bit more light. So he continued to push with his elbow, with his arm, with his shoulder, until there was a space for him to get out, and he stumbled out, so grateful. But when he looked round, he didn't recognise it. He didn't know this place at all. This wasn't the cellar at St. Mary's Abbey. And then he realised he was in St. Leonard's Hospital, which happened to abut St. Mary's Abbey. The two walls joined. He thought for a moment. He really didn't feel very well, but he decided that he would keep his head down, go upstairs and see how the land lay. Everybody upstairs was working hard. Now you see, not only was St. Mary's Abbey one of the most important and influential monasteries and abbeys in the whole country, but St. Leonard's was one of the most important hospitals in the country. And there were lots and lots of people busying themselves looking after the old, the infirm, the poorly, the sick. And so actually they were just happy to have an extra pair of hands. And Brother Reynard, who told everybody his name was Brother John, put his head down and worked hard. He decided he wasn't going to get into any more trouble. He worked very hard. And in fact, he worked harder than he'd ever worked in his life before. And everybody really liked him. He was jolly and friendly, and he made people smile even in their greatest sickness. He heard the St. Peter's feast the following year, and he longed to go for it. And just before he could be tempted, the master of the hospital called him and said that they were expecting to have a huge banquet that evening with great dignitaries from all over the country who were gathering, and they were hoping that these dignitaries would become patrons, would give many gold coins to the hospital. He told Brother John that because he'd done such a good job, what he would like him to do would be to serve the wine for this banquet. "Oh, no, please." "You needn't thank me," said the master of the hospital. "This is the least I can do." Brother John didn't know what to do. He couldn't do anything. He went down into the cellar, and he'd been told which was the best wine and where he had to get it. He had to uncork it, and he'd been told by the master of the hospital, "Bring it up when I request it, and I want it in this order at this time, and really make sure that you do it all in order." Brother John was rather nervous. He uncorked the first cask, and a drop of wine dropped onto his finger, and he licked it. Tasted rather good, but maybe he should check it again. And he had another little sip. You can't be too sure. And he took another sip. Upstairs, the master of the hospital had been regaling all of the guests, telling them what a mighty feast and what incredible wine they were going to receive. But then they started to get restless when the wine didn't arrive. And the master of the hospital started to ask people what was going on. When eventually they went downstairs into the cellar, there Brother John was lying on his back, looking up to the ceiling, the cask dripping the last dregs of wine into his mouth, and he was singing. Probably a religious song, but do you know what? The only one that comes to me is a song that my granddad and I sang when I was a little girl. I'm sure they didn't sing it in medieval times, but it would have had the same sort of feeling. "Oh, happy days are here again, the skies above are clear again, so let us sing a song of cheer again. Happy days are here again." Oh, he was everybody's friend. He told everybody how much he loved them. The master of the hospital was furious. This deserves the most severe punishment. And there it was, down in the cellar. There was a small cell, a hole, and they pushed Brother John into it, and he was still singing, "Happy days are here again." As they began to brick up that little cell, a kind monk put a jug of milk and a large, warm loaf straight out of the oven in with him until they finally bricked it all up. Well, you might think that's the end of the story. But it just so happens that in St. Mary's Abbey next door, the old abbot had died. And so the elders were sitting around, gathered to decide who would be the next abbot of St. Mary's. They were wondering who was going to be wise and pious enough. And in order to help them with their deliberations and their decisions, they asked the cellarer to go down and get them some fine ale. The cellarer came downstairs And when he got down there, yeah, you're right, there he started hearing, "Happy days are here again." Brother Reynard. He almost dropped everything in his hands. He raced back up the stairs, telling everybody that Brother Reynard was singing, that he had come back to life. All the elders tutted. They couldn't believe what a ridiculous man the cellarer was. How was that possible? He must be going out of his mind. They came slowly down the stairs, but they too heard it. "Oh, happy days, oh, happy days, oh, happy days." They couldn't believe it. Open it. And brick by brick, they opened that little tiny cell, and there, bundled inside, was Brother Reynard, laughing. Crazy Brother Reynard. They got him out, they dusted him down, they got him sober. And they couldn't believe that in that little space with him, there wasn't a jug of water, there was a jug of milk. And that little loaf of bread that they'd given him was now a large loaf of bread, and it was warm. It was incredible. It was a miracle. They couldn't believe it. Well, of course, all the elders came round, and of course they had to make Brother Reynard the next abbot. And so it was that Brother Reynard became abbot of St. Mary's Abbey, one of the most important and influential abbeys in the whole country. He may not have been the most pious, the wisest, the most sensible and restrained abbot that ever looked after the abbey, but he was the most joyful and the kindest, and possibly the silliest, warmest, most effervescent abbot that they had ever known. I hope you enjoyed the story. I love the idea of Reynard in charge of a monastery, don't you? If you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting, maybe sharing it with somebody, subscribing. I read all your comments and I use your feedback to help me with other videos. Thank you for being part of my community. Go well. Whatever you do, keep sharing stories.